So in this part of the session, I'm working with the idea of setting up the context. And I don't say, oh, I want to update your context or I want to update your skills. I just say, I want you to update the style of this plot so it can work for a leading cancer research journal. So in this particular scenario, now I'm not a cancer researcher and don't ask me anything about the details of how you do cancer research. But imagine you are a cancer researcher and you want to make sure that the figures you're producing reflect the standards of your field. And what you can do is you can write a question like this in and it will start looking at cancer journals. It's identified these as leading cancer journals. And then it's looked at what my current style was. And it's fine that, well, these journals seem to have this style, they have these types of font sizes, these confidence intervals, they want to have a risk table at the bottom, you need to have a certain format for submission. All these tasks that were so boring before as a researcher, now it's actually going to sort out those tasks for you, and we're going to override my personal defaults for this. And so it's changed the code, and then it's generated this particular figure as an output. Now, when I saw this, I wasn't thrilled, to be honest. Confidence intervals are probably good practice, but they are a little bit too much. But mainly, like, it's put the table in the middle of this, the statistical test table, so that like obscures everything. It's like, yeah, this is okay. It's put this stuff up, but I'm not sure that this really is standard that you have the table of results. That would be more in the data availability or the supplementary materials. That's where you would put the data. So it hasn't done a brilliant job. But what I can do now is, well, I can update its instructions so it does a better job next time. So it's listed all the changes that it's made. And what I do is I say, well, look, there's a few problems with this. Let's drop the table. We can put that in the supplementary. The p-value box is really misplaced. It obscures the data, put it in the bottom left-hand corner. There is too much white space in the figure. You know, there's too much white space, well, in the old one. And can we change this? And so what it does is it updates to deal with exactly these issues. It moves it to the bottom left-hand corner. It makes everything clearer. I might use some different colors, but I'm just going to let it do this. The main idea I want to get across to you is you can do this and then it will update the figure. And now this is reasonably like something that you might see in a cancer journal. Often they don't actually use these big confidence intervals, but I think it probably is best practice to use them. And I like this little touch here, and I think that's what I said earlier in the last video, there was a sort of little thing there. And what that is it just says, you know, this was the stop of the experiment, but the data was actually continuing off this thing. And so that marks that. And so it's put in a lot of these sort of small details that are easy to miss as a researcher and done a pretty good job of, after a few extra pieces of instructions, of creating a plot that we could actually put into our scientific journal. And then, oh yeah, I had a few more things. Can you put a box around the legend to make it a bit clearer? I didn't like how it was overlapping with that. And then I was pretty happy. And once I was happy, I say the following. So please create a cancer journal plot skills file so future plots can be made this way. I had a bit of difficulty finding out exactly where I put my skill file. But when we then click on that skill file and we can find it, we can see the context that is going into Claude before it makes the plot. And it gives a really detailed account of what types of things it should do when it's making a plot for a cancer style journal. So there's an overall summary here of the types of journals that it might be covering. Tells you when you want to use this skill. It's specifically for survival plots, for KM curves, the Kaplan-Meier curves. So that's the idea here. And then it has set up the parameters with the font sizes, the size of the pictures and so on. These are quite small pictures, I think, for the cancer journals because they're often like sort of put in there in small parts of like many different sub-figures when you make these journals. And then it's decided on the color palette. These are things that you can change yourself, either directly here in the editor, or you can just tell Claude that you'd like a different color scheme. It explains how it's going to build the confidence intervals, the p-value annotations, where they should go, which we've explained it to. It gives basically all the details. Now this, I think, for a researcher, is where a lot of your time is being saved. I know that during the years I've worked on trying to format things for journals, it's taken a lot of time. Now all you have to do is build up a skill file which explains how that should be done, keep that maintained, and that minimizes the amount of changes you'll have to make before you plot it. And you can have skill files for different journals, different types of plots. This is just for a survival plot. Everything you want can have its own skill file. And I like this as well. You see a little checklist at the end here of what has to be correct in order for it to do it. So it will implement, it will first read in all of that, and then it will go through the checklist and find out if the figure really does follow the instructions that it's been given. Now, I've mentioned a couple of times that skills are just one particular version or idea for an overall concept called context, which I think is the more important context. And skills are really kind of like specific to Anthropic. So I'm probably not going to talk too much more about them, because in many of the examples we'll be using, I'll be using different agentic AI than just Claude. But I think if you do use Claude a lot, then there's this very nice agent which helps you improve and use those skills. So it's called the Skill Creator, and you can find it by clicking around in Claude a little bit. You find the Skill Creator, and it helps you kind of improve the skills, maybe make some test examples, run it through, make sure that you've got exactly what you want. And it itself is a sort of it's a set of instructions about how you can improve skill files. It starts to get into what's really important about this agentic AI. You also create agents that create skills. And this kind of like goes up in different levels. And as it goes up, it gets more and more complicated, but your ability to do things gets more and more sophisticated. And so this is an example of an agent, a skill creator agent, or maybe it's a skill, I don't know. It's all context, right? All agent and skills, they're all context. It's a set of instructions which helps you improve your skills, which are themselves a set of instructions. Now, don't worry if you haven't got that straight away, but that's going to be really important as we move forward with using agentic AI, that we're always kind of like stepping up a level where we're creating agents to create skills, to create the solutions that you want to do. And a lot of your time as a researcher is about coordinating and building up how your agentic AI is going to work with problems rather than working on those specific problems.